Hi everyone, I'm Eric, the community manager here at Novarama, and this is the second gathering of Bounty Hunters. If you are new to Killsquad or new to these gatherings, a gathering of Bounty Hunters is an event that we like to call it a bridge between the community, you guys the players, and us, the developers. Here we will talk about the past of Killsquad, the present, the current state of the game, and the future. We will show you little tidbits about the future, what's to come on the next updates. We will also do a Q&A and we will answer some of your questions. But without further ado, let the gathering of Bounty Hunters begin.
Hi, I will give you a recap on the Federation update which we launched a few weeks ago. Basically, it's an update that we've been working really hard for you guys. It contains what we call the Spec Ops leaks, the Federation forces, new profile screens, and also badges and portraits. The Spec Ops leaks is when you reach Vector 95, you will unlock this new mission. There you will meet the Federation forces. It's for really hardcore players. You will meet new units that you have to defeat, like the rookie artillery, like a grenadier or the melee, and also the commander of the forces. You will have to navigate the level and be really careful because there are also several traps, some of weight trigger and otherwise are laser trigger. Once you defeat this, which is the ultimate challenge, you will gain a special reward as well. We will continue working on the special forces to give you more contracts in the upcoming months. Another part that's very important of this update is the new profile screen. There you can look into your badges, which is achievements, and you can place them in your profile screen. There's some new portraits that we've created that you will unlock depending on what you've reached within Killsquad and your achievements as well. And you will have ranking and also a hero career path, which adds a new progression to each hero. With all of this, we've managed to cram a lot of content in there so you guys can basically have more fun and more skilled players can have a challenge with this new Spec Ops leaks contract. As we said before, so stay tuned because we will continue to add more stuff to it and put more content in it so you guys can have a bigger challenge while playing Killsquad.
But the Federation update is not the only update we've had. We've also had the Colosseum update that was quite big. But apart from the Colosseum, we've also been adding a lot more to the game, a lot of quality of life. Like the network update, where we added the jump-in mechanic where you can jump in ongoing contracts. We've also added an in-game chat where you can speak with fellow players where you are doing a contract, because when we launched the game there was no chat at all. We've also added carry binding by popular demand. We've also added support to ultra-wide screens. We've added a ton of stuff. We are constantly adding to this game because really Killsquad is an early access. The game is not finished. We are adding on top of it. We are improving it. We are absolutely using your feedback to make this game better. But now let's talk about the Plague, an update that comes out today. The Plague update is our latest update. And it is all about these factions, these mysterious beings that no one really knows where they came from. In this update, you will encounter the Omen of the Plague, a strange obelisk you will encounter in some of the contracts, because 4 of our existing contracts have been corrupted by this Omen. And when you enter them, the Omen will give you a choice: to be cursed, but have better rewards at the end, or to remain the same and have the same rewards. You can accumulate up to 4 curses. And every curse will give you a disadvantage in this contract. Maybe your maximum health will be reduced to its half, or maybe it will deal you damage every time you go close to an ally, or far away from it. Maybe it will summon an army of powerful enemies that will go after you. Who knows? The Plague update is all about giving you challenges and to diversify the existing content. We haven't added new chunks of the Federation with traps and stuff. We've not added also new units like we did with the Federation. But we've added further challenges on those existing contracts. And we've added, of course, an additional Spec Ops mission where you fight 2 Nightbringers, the Heralds of the Plague. With this update also we've added 4 new skins that you will be able to buy on the vendor, Ides, the Occultist, for some echoes of the Plague. So here with me I have Victoria. She is, in fact, what are you, Victoria? What do you do here in Orama?
So here I'm a game designer, but in Killsquad specifically, I'm a narrative designer and game writer. So basically, I'm in charge of writing game lore and also making the connection between gameplay and narrative stick together in one place.
So if you want a translation, she writes all these texts on
that
the,
you don't
contracts.
really think about it, but yes, someone has to actually like write them. Yeah.
Exactly. And she's the lore master.
The lore master. I like that title.
It's a fine title.
Yeah, it's cool.
I want it too.
Yeah.
How do you approach a game like Killsquad? Killsquad is an action game, a session-based action game. So, yeah. How do you approach a game that has no apparent main narrative?
So as you can think about it, it's quite difficult because, as you say, it's a game about fun and playing with your friends and doing stupid things. So the lore is actually like really limited. You have to be aware of that. No one probably will like read it, but anyway, it has to be there. It's like when you play Diablo with your friends.
You'd be surprised. Eh? There's a part of the community, not only in Killsquad, but in every game that's deep into the lore and they read everything.
No, I know. It's difficult to actually write for a game like this because you don't have like really a story you can base your writing on. It's just like making the background of the things the people are going to like write their stories on it. It's like okay, you have these characters, these planets, this universe, and then you make up your own story. So it's not like a super game story based thing, but more like a player story or player experience based. So yeah.
So you're building the world and the characters. That's by the way. There's a part of the community, as I said, that's deep into this and very interested in the lore of the game. So what are the plans right now to satiate this interest and to make the world of Killsquad more compelling?
Well, to make the world of Killsquad more compelling, as you say, we are planning into adding. We are trying to restructure the story or the lore of the background as we know it and make it more cohesive. But because Killsquad was first looked as a gameplay first-based game, and then write a story over that base. So we're basically taking the base of the lore we had, that it was like really shallow, and we're trying to deepen it to the next level. So everything is very cohesive between. So also part of our plans is to integrate some maybe screens or something. You can actually like see the contracts and stuff like that. And also we were thinking about getting some narrative background into the skins or things like that like resources in the game or stuff like that. And I think it would be pretty interesting to see it back in the game, because right now maybe the most difficult thing to do right now in Killsquad is write text, because you don't have many places to actually write text on it. You have the contracts, you have the resources, maybe you have
the heroes, and that's it.
And pretty much that's it. Maybe the text for the planets, but that's really few text if you think about it.
In fact, in the recent event of Halloween, we actually implemented a bit of a storyline, a bit of a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about it. What's the story behind this narrative, or both in game and here in the office? How did this happen?
Well, it is actually like trying of a test to do kind of quest thing, like these scavenger hunts you have in some MMOs.
Yes.
So we are trying to take that and bring it back to Killsquad. So the Halloween event, we thought it was going to be like a good testing field for these kind of systems. So how did it bring it up? So basically the story was that we had this mechanic and we thought, okay, it's Halloween, so what do you have in Halloween that is like super common in Halloween? Okay, pumpkins. Okay, so you have pumpkins and then you have to do something with pumpkins that it was like, okay, it's an edible, so maybe pumpkin cakes or something like that, and that was the reason it was like that. So because it wasn't like really serious and the tone of the game is quite serious right now, we wanted to make like more kind of a gag or something like that. So that's why we made this story about a frustrated cook that is Robbie Steele, that is the vendor of the corporation right now. He had to like make this cake with these pumpkins you get, and then you find that the DNA vendor, for some reason, he's like a super pumpkin lover, and we thought it was really fun, and it was like kind of, yeah, it made it sense because it's Halloween and it's a time that you.
And why not?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Why can't a robot be a big fan of pumpkin pies?
Yeah, why not?
So yeah. Well, that's fun. Thank you for being here, Victoria, and in this second gathering of the Bounty Hunters.
Thank you for inviting me.
And yeah, now let's jump into the next section. Hello again. This is the Q&A section where we will be answering all of your questions. Here with me is Danny. He's the CEO of Novarama.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Q&A section of this second gathering of Bounty Hunters. I hope we have a fulfilling section in which we can answer a lot of questions.
Right, so the first questions are from Bam. He's usual here. We all know him because pretty active in the Discord server and stuff. So his first question is about making killing enemies more rewarding, because some players have the tendency to skip all the contract into the end and not killing any enemies. So
well, the thing with Bum, I mean, I've spoken with him a few times. Super good player. If you play any game for 100 hours, 200 hours, I don't know how many hours has he played. Of course, things become more repetitive in a way. And so that's the reason why we keep on updating all our VFX every now and then. So for example, with Federation, we did a big update on all the VFX to make it more, visually appealing. And I know one of the things he's also asking is about the sound design, same thing. I mean, we just keep on improving things. This is just kind of like an ongoing process. And that's something that's not going to stop. For example, you've seen in the Halloween build that we have added a whole new layer of sound effects specific to Halloween. Same thing's going to happen with Plague. So yes, so thanks for the question, but this is just something we just keep doing every day, basically.
Okay, nice. So he also asked about weapon sets, or in Killsquad weapon and gear sets, that equipping all three Plague, the weapon and the 2 gears, will give you, or he has to add some bonus effects. Like
so BAM here is opening a very interesting field, and we're going to be talking a lot about that in the future, which is customization. Let me put it this way. He's saying, oh, if I have 3 of the same type, I could get some sort of like a bonus. But what if we said that you can actually change equipment on your character, and by changing pieces of equipment on that character, it changes as well. We've been looking a lot at games like Destiny and games like Monster Hunter and the way they structure their heroes, and it's a whole different affair to what we're doing now on Killsquad. And so most likely we're not going to be doing exactly what Bam is saying, just because we're going to be doing something way bigger, in which you can actually choose way more options to configure your character in different ways.
Nice. So he also asks about personalizing your lobby, like some sort of
same story. We're playing a lot of Monster Hunter, and just take a look at that kind of games. We feel that as we add more content into the game, for example, with Federation, we added new skins and we added portraits and we added a new number of things, and way more things that we're going to be adding in the future. There has to be a better way to show it off. I mean, for example, on Destiny, if you go to the game hub, you're just there just basically to mingle with other people and to show off. We would like to have something similar in the future in Killsquad. I'm not giving any dates on this because, of course, it's complicated and this is rather big. But again, we think we need to work harder in allowing people to personalize their heroes and their lobbies and creating spaces for people to show off their status in a way.
That's cool. And add Killsquad emotes on Discord. This goes on me, in fact.
Yeah, that's not mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I need to find time to do them, but yes, eventually we will have Killsquad emotes on Discord.
Yeah. So of course, because I'm Eric's boss. I mean, this is something. When I saw the question, I was asking Eric, "How do we do this?" And he was like, "Oh, that's doable. Yeah, that's something you do." And I was like, "Okay, then go do it." So in other words, all of these things which are kind of like outside the game, we are going to try to push harder. I mean, that affects Discord, and you'll see in a couple of weeks all our initiatives regarding merchandise. I mean, all these things that make Killsquad less a game and more an experience outside the game. We're going to work harder for you guys because, I mean, we think you guys deserve it. So expect news on this soon, but those are going to come through Eric, not so much through me. So sorry about that.
So, yeah, this is on me. So the final question is about sound design.
Yeah, I answered that one before. I mean, when we were talking about the making the enemies more rewarding, again, that's something we do. I mean, we just keep on doing. I mean, if you play build after build as Bum does, he's just going to notice the difference as we just find time to put more sound effects, more visual effects to basically everything,
Yeah, so a mysterious person, because his username or her username is completely blank, asks about more contract diversity.
Okay, so now I'm going to be a little bit long on my answer, but this is an important one. You guys need to understand one thing, which is when you do a game, you start with an idea of what you think is right, but then once the game is released, the game picks up life on its own, and then actually it's at that moment that you realize what the game actually really is. So with Killsquad, this is literally what happened. I mean, with Killsquad, honestly, when we began working on the game, we had two games kind of like in our mind. A game which was broad as in collectibles, like, oh, more heroes, more this, more that, and then a game that was deep as in more quests, more time for me to play. So for example, if you go broad, you have Heroes of the Storm. If you go deep, you have Diablo. Okay? So when we began doing Killsquad, honestly, we didn't know which way to go. So we did kind of like a middle of the road. Then one thing we've realized is that our game is deep. That's the type of game that you guys are enjoying. That's what you guys keep on requesting from us basically all the time. And so for the last month and a half, if you have followed the game, you saw with Federation, which brought, new contracts for the Federation, Spec Ops. It brought all the linear progression for the heroes in terms of the hero career path. So we are working on that. You're getting Plague literally at the same time as you're going to be seeing this video. Plague is another effort on this same field. You're going to get new contracts with different types of curses to your teammates. And I'm happy to announce, and I will talk about that later, that we're going to be adding a new batch of contracts from now to Christmas. We want to have more things to do. In this case, these contracts are going to be tied to new enemies that we're going to bring into the game. And that's going to make the game, again, not bigger, but more diverse, which is literally what Blank, in this case, that's his name, is asking for. So yes, expect to get more different types of experiences, so you have more reasons to play Killsquad.
Long but nice answer, thank you. He or she also asked for more planets and more dynamic and visually compelling environments.
Yeah,
like moving objects and stuff.
We're working on the next planet. Next planet is going to be a space station. We'll show some of that soon. It's still a little bit too early. I mean, for now we're focusing on what's coming this year, and so this new planet is going to come 2020. But yes, we're working on new planets, and actually not only new planets, but as you saw before with Victoria, we're working on establishing the lore of the universe so that this new planet comes with a new faction. And for example, now we're discussing who are they, what do they want, I mean, why are they here? So you get more like an enveloping experience that is surrounding you basically as a player.
Well, nice. There's also a question about more skills per hero and lower cooldown so that skills can be spammed and making the game more dynamic.
Okay, I can understand both. I'm going to say we'll do one of the two. I mean, making lower cooldowns is most likely something we're not going to do. Reason being that, generally speaking, Killsquad is perceived as being very fast-paced and very intense already. If we made it even with less cooldowns, it would be, you know, like super crazy. So I'm not sure if we want to go there. Then the other question about more skills per hero, what we're working on and what we're discussing at the design stage is to have evolution of your skills, so that basically you can invest time in a hero. So what you guys have seen already is the hero career path tied to your rank. So what if we told you that basically in the future what you're going to get is that you're going to be able to basically, as you rank up with your hero, you're going to be able to replace some skills with newer version of those skills in a permanent way. So that, for example, if you play Troy, which I do, and you, for example, say, oh, I'm using a lot this skill, let's say execution, you could somehow learn a new version of execution in a permanent way. So that's something we are discussing.
Well, that's also very nice. And the last question is about knockbacks. Because she or he wants softer knockbacks and not that punishing.
We really like the knockbacks. I mean, it's a really cool experience. I mean, again, Killsquad is very much about intensity, you know, and so you know, knockbacks are part of that. And you know, when you're fighting, you know, Haldoran, or when you're fighting, you know, these big bosses, it's one of those things that really annoys you, but at the same time, it's what it has to be. You know, so I don't think we're going to be making any major changes there. You know, it could be, of course, that we fix knockbacks in the case that there's bugs, but in the case of a general knockback, we think, you know, it's actually a very cool mechanic.
Nice. So Kiri has a lot to say.
Yep.
But he or she has a very long list of suggestions and things that he or she...
I mean, I really enjoyed reading Kiri's questions here. So again, I'm going to give kind of like a long answer here. What Kiri is saying, I mean, with different statements, different phrases, is that basically he or she wants more depth. That's very, I mean, when he says something like, oh, the game burned me pretty fast, what he's saying is I want more depth, which goes back to my point before. You know, I mean, what are we? Are we broad or are we deep? We think we need to be deep. I mean, in a way, our reference needs to be more, of course, it's a very different game, but it needs to be more Path of Exile than it needs to be, let's say, Heroes of the Storm, which is a different type of affair. Then, what we're going to be doing, and now I'm going to go into detail on what's coming in our next update, which is going to be the Christmas update, after Plague, next major update. So what we're going to be adding is basically two big things, and all of them attack what Kiri is saying, which I think is pretty much correct. So first thing we're going to be adding is we're going to be adding a quest system. One of the common complaints of people when they enter Killsquad is that first, it's a little bit harsh. I mean, the entrance in the game, it's a little bit tough because there's no goals. It's just an open lobby and you go there and you play. You know, then by doing quests, the kind of experience you're going to get is more similar to other games in which maybe you only have, let's say, 3 contracts on day 1, and then there's a quest, and then you do the quest, and then by doing the quest, new contracts unlock, and so forth and so on. And so by doing this, basically what happens is that instead of getting all this day 1, you get it slowly and you build up, and so the game becomes more manageable. Then with these quests, we're going to also be introducing new types of contracts. So on top of the contracts you're getting with Plague, we're going to show later images of the new bosses that we're doing. So we have several bosses in the works, and we're going to be dropping some or all of them. We'll see how we progress from now to Christmas. But basically, we're going to be doing bosses in the same vein as the Nightbringers, so that kind of league. And those are going to be appearing across mostly veteran, but also in some of the recruit league contract as well. You know, so again, through doing quests, through doing contracts, semi-bosses and contracts with semi-bosses, we're kind of like paving the way to begin expanding. You see, for example, if we go to, I have here just to read what Kiri is saying. You know, he wants to get skill trees. I spoke about that on the previous answer. You know, we're going to be doing replaceable skills, not for this Christmas, but something we want to do. Second is, of course, he's saying, you know, bosses, challenging events, that's coming with the quests. So we are, I mean, the good thing about reading things like what Kiri is saying is that it basically reinforces our own thinking. I mean, Kiri sees problems, we see the same problems, so we're working on the same direction, and that's good because we want to be aligned with your interest as a community. And we would be annoyed if we were thinking, oh yeah, we're going to be doing this, but no one requested it. So we want to focus on the things that matter more to our fans, basically. And by the way, last thing that Kiri mentioned, I want to do a separate thing about this one, is a feeling of community. We think we're getting better. So for example, with Jump In, with Stay Together, those two things were massively important. I can say, and this is just facts, our concurrent number of users has basically between doubled and tripled since we did those updates. So it's slowly working. So one of the things we're working on as well is a chat in the lobby of the game, so that you guys can basically find a place to basically meet up and arrange LFGs, like looking for gamers to basically to play. That's all going to happen on the lobby as soon as we have this chat system in place. We're working on that actively. I would like that to be finished by the end of this year. Let's see if we can make it, because there's an outside dependency on that, because to have a chat server you need an external service, but we're working on that as well. So again, you're going to be getting, my answer to Kiri would be, you're going to be getting, for all your comments, you're going to be getting quests, which should be making the game way deeper. You're going to be getting, aside from the Plague contract that you're going to be enjoying tonight, hopefully, you're going to be getting new contracts with the new bosses, and hopefully you're going to be getting a chat. So we're attacking through different flanks, the different areas that you also detected.
Yeah, nice. So after this lengthy answer,
well, I mean, we take this seriously. I mean, the fun thing about this is that this is not like we pretend to listen. It's basically we trying to understand what's right and what's wrong. I mean, if you guys remember, when we did Jump In, it was based on a discussion we had with the community. I mean, we saw that basically it was hard to find people to play with. And so it was in a discussion that we said, hey, should we do this? And, it was a pain in the ass to do. I mean, I hated to have to do that decision, but basically it solved the problem. So in this case, it's the same story again.
So to jump into the next question or suggestion or something, Zendral, he wants to let all the immortal bugs. There are some bugs still, but we're working on them.
Okay, so with Killsquad, you guys need to understand this. July, August, it was all about stability, and so that's the reason a lot of people, for example, Blackjack, back in the day, complained that we were not really making improvements because we were stabilizing the game. And then since September, we're just more like in a stride of content. And you got Colosseum, you got Federation, you're getting Plague today, you got Halloween, and then of course when we do these updates, problem is sometimes we introduce new bugs, and this is the case of the immortal bugs. And those basically are things that we're solving. I mean, we don't even wait for major builds to solve these things, and you guys know it. I mean, we usually do a build every week. And you look at the build notes, you'll see, oh, they've solved this one, oh, they've solved that one. So expect the immortal bugs to basically disappear, in the course of the next few weeks. Again, it's kind of like a growing pain. I mean, as we grow as a game, we introduce new issues that we need to take care of, and we every now and then just devote some time to that. For example, next week, I'm just saying this so that you guys know it. For example, now we're doing Plague this week. Next week is just bug hunting. I mean, everybody's going to be just basically doing a sweep to clean up bugs such as this, such as some skills that are working wrong, all that kind of stuff. We're going to try to get rid next week, hopefully.
Nice. So Shizaya is asking, well, there's a problem that there are some materials that they aren't used for too much, so you end up hoarding a lot of them, and there's no way to trade them for anything.
So I mean, I need to be honest with you guys here. So some of those are intended, so there are things that we plan to use in the future for other things, and that's kind of like normal. Some of them honestly are unbalances in the game economy, just to be honest. I mean, any live game, and Killsquad is a live game, of course you're going to be prone to having things which are imbalanced, and basically through patching and through doing updates, we're going to fix that. I mean, whenever we detect a material that's being used too much, of course we're going to basically raise a flag and say, hey, what do we do about this? Also keep in mind that because we're adding new content all the time, a lot of the materials are going to go into those pipelines for all this new content, be it quests, or be it the new bosses, etc. So I mean, some of the things are going to get a use sooner than you think, and some of them are just going to be rebalanced.
So its last question is about bug fixes again. Killing Mogoth.
Yeah,
we're working on this.
Yeah. Again, same story. Mogoth is one of the main bosses. She's really a sight to behold. I mean, it's really cool, but of course it's buggy in some cases. And so again, as I was saying before, I cannot make a commitment that we will fix this one next week. But again, we're just doing bug fixing on an ongoing basis. And if you think about it, we've done, I think, about 3 big updates in less than a month. So we did, Federation, we did Colosseum. We did Federation, Halloween, and now Plague in a matter of 3 weeks. So that's the reason why bugs have grown a little bit. And now, because we're not going to be doing major updates until Christmas, we're going to get a lot of time to basically stabilize the game and make sure we don't have these issues anymore.
Nice. So Patricis is asking about how you plan to balance the perks of the crafting system that is in the works.
Yeah. Again, same story as I was saying, kind of like a couple of questions ago. Some of the things that you see on that crafting system, for example, the ability to craft keys and some of those things, they do have a plan in our roadmap. And some others, to be honest with you guys, are just imbalances, and we're going to fix them really quickly. One of the things that you need to be aware, and I keep on saying this because I think it's an important thing to say, is that we are in early access. And in early access, it's games that grow really fast, and so basically you just keep on doing updates to get to your expected size. If you look at the game we will have by the end of the year, it's a lot bigger than what we had back in July, and sometimes some of the perks and some of the balance goes off rails, and then we have to fix it right away.
Nice. So the final questions are from Rainbow Dash. He asks about crafting.
Of course. Let me see. We have here a few good ones. Okay, so Rainbow Dash, he's a classic. I said on the previous gathering of bounty hunters that I preferred or other ponies, but everybody has their own favorite. So again, with Rainbow Dash, what I'm seeing here is a mixture of different things. So for example, crafting is going to get more depth in the future. It's not going to be short term, but we are in the same vein as I said before, that we're going to give you many more ways to customize your hero. Crafting is going to play a bigger role in that, as in you being able to craft, for example, a specific weapon, for example, to get a blueprint for a weapon, and then through resources, as I was saying before, some of the resources that you think are not useful, they're going to be going into that system. You'll be able to craft your own weapons, for example.
More ways of healing.
Same thing. Healing to me is going to be another one, and that's going to be in the skill progression that I was describing before. I mean, as skills progress, you're going to get more ways of healing. It's an interesting one. The next one, he mentions an automatic skill picker.
Yes.
And again, we're going exactly in the opposite direction. In a way, think about this. You want to automatically pick skills when you know which ones you're going to do always. So for example, with Troy, which is my hero, I have 2 builds usually, in terms of my skills. Depending on what I'm doing, I can go one of 2 ways. One of is more centered around gravity, and the other one is just a different skill tree. But then once we allow you to change your skill tree, actually, instead of making it more automatic, we want to make it more manual, so that people think more in their skill tree as something they need to work on, and something that they need to nurture, so that basically it's their own skill tree. So it's not so much about making it automatic; it's about making it deeper. So that there's more things that you can choose from as you advance on the rank of your character. The next one, I'm going to go to that one.
Go ahead, no problem.
He talks about skipping the reward screen. Yeah, we'll do that. we'll do
Yeah.
that. That's a no-brainer.
Right now, with all that progression on the
Yeah.
functions and stuff,
Yeah,
it gets long.
That's a no-brainer. You know, also that's a good sign. I mean, you know, whenever I see a game in which people want to skip the reward screen, it usually means that they want to go back to playing as soon as, you know. So whenever you see a guy saying, it's 10 seconds, make it faster, it's kind of like, oh, give me more of this because I'm having fun. So I get that as a good sign. Of course, we will get rid of that, so we will make sure it's faster. But that's a sign that with Federation and with all the progression and stuff, we're hitting some nails really well. So I'm really happy for that.
So the final question is about perks and weapons that trigger abilities. So like a weapon that makes the gravity shot of Troy bigger or something like that, and also diversity of perks in general.
Again, that goes back to my point before about depth. You know, we're going to be working a lot on depth and adding new things. Specifically, I mean, we're not working specifically on new perks for weapons, but that's something that will come at some point. Of course, we want to have more. But again, you know, just to kind of like wrap up this session, because that was kind of like the final question. To me, there's kind of like maybe 3 takeaways from this session. The first one, which is the easy one, is that of course we're going to be working a lot on bugs. You know, bugs need to go, and you know that's a no-brainer. Okay, and then the second and the third, which is going to be the focus of our Christmas update, is that we want to work a lot on basically giving you more different things to do, which is going to come in the form of more contracts. I mean, if you think about it, the version on Christmas with regards to the version in July most likely has kind of like double the type of different contracts, considering, you know, the Federation contracts, the plague contracts, the ones that were affected by Halloween, the ones we're going to be putting on Christmas, etc., etc. So again, first thing, we're going to be adding a lot more contracts so that the game is more fun. And second, we're going to be adding this new quest system that I was talking about before, which is going to make the game more structured. You know, a lot of people, I mean, we were fans of Left 4 Dead when it came out, and that was very open. But you know, let's face it, it's 10 years later, and some people want something with a little bit more of a skeleton inside, so that the progression of the game is more guided in a way. And so we're going to be working on that. You know, so that was it for me today, and I hope you enjoyed our Q&A. Well, that was a few questions we had to answer. So as you've seen, in the spirit of the previous gathering, what we've done here is we have given you an update of where the game is now, and also we have tried to have a dialogue with you guys and what are the areas of your concern. So what I want to do now is I want to spend a few minutes telling you guys about the next update, which is going to come around Christmas, and then what happens after that update, what happens in the early 2020. So as you've seen, one thing I've said a million times, and I'll say it again, is that we don't feel that a roadmap should be like a cage for our design. So if we did a roadmap in July, but then we found out good improvements, for example, such as jump in and such as stay together, we're going to change the roadmap to give you that. And then the same story is going to happen this time all over again. Back in the day, we thought, oh, this has to be more about collectible characters, so we're going to give them another character before the end of the year. Honestly, we don't feel that's really what the game needs at this point. As I've said before, we think the focus should be more on depth, and the focus should be more on richness. So we want you guys to play longer, and also we want you guys to play a richer game in which you have more things to do. And so I'm going to give you a glimpse, and I'm going to give you an update on where things are at for our next update, and I'm sure you're going to really enjoy this. First thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding new bosses. Okay, so in this case we're going to be adding 3 bosses, and these bosses are going to appear here on the screen around me at some point. But basically what we want to do is we want to give people an experience similar to what we did with the Nightbringers and what we did with the Federation. We want someone who actually attacks by surprise and that can pop up in different contracts. So the first boss we're doing, which is this kind of like spidery thing that you can see here, is going to be an enemy of the plague. So whenever there's a big plague attack, maybe you're going to encounter this guy. That's going to be kind of like a boss type of creature, and that's going to make the plague attacks way more intense. The second one we're doing is we're working on this kind of like demon-esque type of creature. There's one thing we really like about Killsquad, and we've received a lot of comment from you guys, is we love visual effects. We love, big show-off spectacle. And so this boss is going to be all about that. We want a boss that has a lot of VFX on the screen so that it feels very epic. And then the third boss we're working on is this kind of like mech organic kind of creature that comes from the same vein where we designed Haldoran the Cruel back in the day. So this may end up being a servant of Haldoran, it may end up being something else. But again, this is going to be an armored beast that's going to be super tough to kill. Again, those bosses are going to be spawning mostly on the veteran contracts. So by doing this, what we're trying to do is making sure, recruit players, they have a good time because they're discovering the game, they're discovering, how to escort a vehicle, how to defend an antenna, how to do all the different types of missions. And then by the time you move on to veteran, you should get all this new content such as Nightbringers, Federation, and these bosses. Some of them may also pop up on recruit, but basically it's going to be for veteran players as well. So that's the first thing we're going to be adding, new bosses, so that basically, there's more riches and there's more types of contracts for you guys to play. As you've seen, I didn't mention the name of these creatures because one thing we want to do with you guys is we want to hold naming competitions. The people who know me and the people who know us at Norama, we hate giving names to things. It's really, really tough to come up with something unique and something interesting. So watch this page, we're going to be holding naming competitions to give names to these guys, so stay tuned. The second thing I wanted to talk about is that in a way I'm going to tell a tale here. Killsquad in a way reminds me a little bit as of now, this buffet restaurants in which you have like a big table full of different dishes and you can taste any of them in any order. Killsquad is a bit like that. You enter the game, you enter a lobby, there's 60 contracts, now actually 62 with the Spec Ops contracts. And of course, there's a ton of things you can do. Then one thing we've realized by talking to you guys in the community is that the game feels a little bit overwhelming because there's so much going on in the early stages of the game. And so to fix that, we're going to add a quest system. The quest system is going to be personal, so it's going to be individual. Every player will have quests. And then what that's going to do is it's going to turn our buffet restaurant of sorts into more like a structured restaurant, so that in the beginning you're going to go after the first quests, and then once you fulfill those quests, then you're going to be presented with other quests, and these quests can unlock new contracts and they can unlock new rewards, and so that this same content that we're giving you all at once, and it feels very much like, again, overwhelming, and it doesn't have tutorials, it doesn't have a first-time user experience, we're going to structure it through quests so that it feels more basically longer, and it feels like something with a little bit more structure. We feel quests are going to be great in that respect. Also, quests, as I'll talk about in a second, are going to be the door to customize your hero post-Christmas. We'll talk about that in a second. Third thing we're going to be working on, as I said before, is we want to implement a chat system on the lobby. We know any multiplayer game basically becomes a gathering place. In the early days of Killsquad, one of the things I said is we don't want to create a game, we want to create a place for people to meet. Then we are slowly getting there. If we jump in, we stay together, our community appeal is growing every day, and then we feel like the missing piece of that puzzle is a chat. And when I mean a chat on the main lobby, so that when you log on into the game, there's a chat there, and you can see who's on, who's not on, who wants to play which contracts. So it serves both as a way to socialize and make friends, and also it serves as a way for you guys to basically hook up together with people who want to play the same contract, or that people who are looking for the same quest, or something like this. So chat is something we are already investing time into. The only problem with chat, I'm going to tell you a little bit about an insider info here, but basically the same way as the other feature are just internal. That's something we do. For chat, we need some server-side support, and so that depends a little bit on outside suppliers. So that's the only thing that we're trying to figure out, who's going to be supplying the server-side component for the chat. But again, we're hoping we will have this for Christmas, and if not, shortly afterwards. And that takes us to the end of the year. Again, from now to the end of the year, you're going to see a lot of action from us in terms of promotions, in terms of merchandise, in terms of updates, as you've seen. And so we hope that we're going to complete a year in which we will have given you guys, a lot of value for the money. We have given you 4 major updates. We have given you new contracts, new characters, new everything. So in that respect, I think it was a great 2019. So one thing you guys will be wondering is then what happened with the engineer. So here you can see a short clip of the engineer running in the game. So we are working on the engineer. The only thing with the engineer is, again, we need to prioritize what goes first, what goes after. And again, as I've been saying all through the gathering today, we feel our game should become deeper before becoming wider. So in that respect, we prefer more contracts, more enemies, more quests than to give you guys another character. So in that respect, engineer is coming, but he's going to be shifted to the early 2020 instead of being late 2019, because we prefer to devote resources to quests and bosses. Then I want to give you a glimpse of what we're working on for the early 2020. So first of all, we're going to be adding a new world to our game. As you guys are aware, the worlds of Killsquad are slowly being conquered by the Federation. You've met them. You met them before in small scale. Now you've seen that they have turrets, that they have barricades, that they are more mean. And you know what? They have a central base. That central base is a space station. The space station is called SCUA. And SCUA is an orbiting space station that you're going to invade with the Killsquad to fight the armies of the Federation. Then what you're going to realize once you get into SCUA, which is going to be a whole new world, is that there's a whole new set of enemies that you're going to be encountering there. We're working all those enemies as you can see here in all the concept art. And then not only we're working on new enemies, but we're also working on new gameplays for these enemies. So for example, what you can see here is that we're working on vehicles. Our expectation is for the player to be able to kill the enemy that's actually riding the vehicle and then be able to take over the vehicle so that you can ride the vehicle yourself. So for example, in this kind of like crab-like creature, if you shoot down the guy riding the vehicle, then you can use that crab for your own transportation through the level. Same applies to this kind of like monster. We wanted to do a shared vehicle that you can basically ride together with your mates, and so that's going to be this second type of creature here. Again, for us, every time we do a new enemy, it's a way for us to showcase a new type of gameplay, and there's a lot of gameplays that we're thinking about that we want to show in SCUA, and again, that's coming on the first trimester of 2020. So rest assured that the new content in terms of new worlds is coming. And also the other bit that we're going to be working on, as I said before, is customization. We feel that if the game wants to get bigger and it wants to get deeper, what we should invest more effort in giving you guys the tools to customize your hero. And then the first thing we're going to be working on, as I said before, is this idea that we call skill masteries. So basically what you're going to do is by getting rank points, by ranking up your hero, or by doing quests, you're going to get certain tokens, and then these tokens you're going to be able to exchange them for masteries. A mastery is going to be basically a substitution for one of your skills, which is permanent. So for example, let's say you don't like Troy's Bulletstorm. What you're going to do is you're going to be able to purchase through these tokens a mastery that's a new skill that substitutes Bulletstorm in a permanent manner. So what that means is that slowly, by doing this, your heroes are going to become more like your own version of that hero. So instead of being a run-of-the-mill Troy, which is similar to any other Troy out there, your Troy is going to have the unique skills that you have been developing on your masteries tree. Again, this goes back to my point before of making the game deeper and making sure that you guys can spend more time creating your unique type of hero. This same philosophy of customization is going to move on to visuals as well. We want you to be able to customize your hero, not so much through skins, which we think we did some of them. You guys were not so happy with them. We were not so happy either. So most likely it's going to be more like a piecewise system by which you can add things to your heroes, so that, for example, you can change the chest plate, or you can change the knee pads, or you can change the helmet of a hero, so that he slowly becomes, again, your own version, not only in terms of the skills, but also in terms of the visuals of that hero. So that's it for today. Again, I think we have covered a lot of ground today. We hope you guys enjoy Plague, which is our update, which is just out now. And we hope you guys stay around for the next update, which is going to be coming around Christmas, in which you're going to be able to enjoy the new bosses and the new quest system. And that's it for today. That's it for our second Gathering of the Bounty Hunters, which is an event that we do just because you are there. And the fact that you are there is really key to us, and that's the reason why I want to communicate with you guys in a very direct manner. I hope we get the chance to speak again in the next gathering, hopefully around the end of the year. And I hope to see you guys both on forums and on Discord, and if not, see you guys on the outreach.